In the western edge of the African continent, where the vast and arid Namib Desert stretches endlessly, lives the San tribe, one of the oldest human groups on Earth. Also known as the Bushmen, the San people have lived for centuries as hunter-gatherers, freely roaming one of the hottest and most beautiful regions in the world. At first glance, the Namib Desert may appear lifeless, but in truth, it is home to an astonishing biological diversity. And for the San tribe, nature was not just a home, but a constant battlefield. In this harsh environment of extreme heat and scarce water, the San had to develop unique survival skills. Their lives depended on hunting and foraging, extracting every bit of food from a merciless land. Life in the desert was not just a struggle against thirst, but also against the predators who shared their land. Lions, leopards, and hyenas lurked around every corner, turning each day into a battle for survival. In this desert, water became the most precious resource. The San people had to share limited water sources with wild animals, leading to daily conflicts. In such an environment, rules collapse, and harmony between humans and nature becomes nearly impossible. But the San people learned to transform themselves from victims to masters of this harsh land. With their deep knowledge of the desert, they managed to turn it from a deadly enemy into a valuable ally. To them, hunting was more than a means to obtain food. It was an art requiring skill and patience. Hunters mastered the reading of animal tracks to determine species and movement. But the real challenge lay in interpreting these tracks to find water sources, where animal and human paths intersected. When it was time to hunt, every movement mattered. The hunters moved like silent shadows, careful not to let the wind carry their scent toward their prey. Approaching against the wind was a skill only a few could master. During severe droughts in Namibia, when wells dried up and the ground cracked under the heat, wild fruits became the difference between life and death. One of the most precious of these was the desert cactus fruit, which provided both nourishment and hydration. Finding these rare fruits was a test of the San's mastery of the desert's secrets. They learned how to locate where the plants grew and how to extract every drop of moisture to quench their thirst. In this vast and unpredictable desert, knowing the way was a skill that could determine a hunter's fate. Finding the right path was not a matter of luck, but of deep, instinctive knowledge of the land, where hunters read trails like an open book. As mentioned, the first step in hunting is ensuring the wind isn't in your direction. If your scent reaches the animal, it will sense danger and flee within seconds. Once they manage to get close undetected, something strange happens. Even if the animal sees the hunters, it often hesitates to run. Instead, it watches with a steady, curious gaze, trying to figure out what kind of creature stands before it. To animals, the unknown is intriguing. They remain in place until they catch the strange visitor's scent. In that critical moment, the rules change. It's the tipping point where survival instincts take over in both human and animal. Some animals decide to flee, others stay as if hypnotized, and their final movement is collapsing as a sand spear pierces their body. And so, the hunt continues among all the species in the desert, between humans and between animals themselves. It's the eternal story of predator and prey that dates back to the dawn of humanity, and it confirms that humans are still at the top of the food chain, dominant, determined, and constantly struggling to survive. After a successful hunt, the San tribe immerses itself in ancestral rituals, where the celebration begins without pause. The hunter returns to camp after hiding the carcass in the desert. Upon arrival, he gathers his family, and they move with all their belongings to the new location, beside the slain prey. That place becomes their temporary home for as long as there is meat to feed their bodies and souls. After sunrise, days after the last hunt, the cycle begins again. While the children are still sleeping and dreaming, others are already moving like war machines. The drought has arrived, and the San are ready to dig the earth in search of valuable wild fruits, which will serve as an extra meal to provide energy for the coming day. Cactus will be gathered and used as a key part of their diet. Every morning, the women divide into groups and walk through vast areas in search of fruits and roots that only trained eyes can spot. Those left behind have their own tasks, setting up camp and softening animal hides to be turned into clothes and blankets for the cold nights ahead. Meanwhile, the men craft their hunting weapons following precise traditions that demand skill and preparation. They know nothing else and care for nothing else. Their greatest ambition now is survival. But the greatest secret of the hunt lies in preparing the poison, a task that requires patience, knowledge, and a steady hand. The desert hides many things, including deadly roots that can be a curse to some and a blessing to others. First, the ingredients are gathered and extracted from the earth with the same care used in hunting. The poison is then prepared meticulously and applied to the arrowheads that will soon bring food to the tribe. The poison allows the arrow or spear to pierce the animal without contaminating the meat. There are also simpler, yet clever weapons used to hunt wild rabbits. The hunter kneels for hours, mesmerized by the breeze and alert to any tiny movement, waiting patiently for a rabbit to appear. The strange world of the Sand People is a world of rituals and traditions passed down through generations. It invites us to reflect on humanity's struggle and adaptability, and on the importance of preserving the culture of the Sand People who enrich our planet with their wild knowledge and stories. So as we explore these remarkable traditions, we must remember, despite our differences, diversity holds great value. This is a message of respect for all traditions, reminding us that at our core, we humans are equal. And despite all modern advancements, the wild still lives within us,